Hi, it's Verity here and welcome to my YouTube channel and blog, Pretty Little Button. I make paper crafting tutorials for the everyday crafter. Have you started your Christmas cards yet? Well, today I've got 3 cards showing you how to use patterned paper with your Christmas cards to create a modern style card. So for this card I am using the all wrapped up pattern paper pack from Catherine Designs from their Jolly Holiday release. It has a great range of patterns, whether stripes, dots or even holly, and it comes in a great variety of colours. And for the actual card I'm going to use the coordinating dies that come with the Caroling Sentiment stamp set. Now I'm going to use the present out of this die set and I'm going to just use it with the pattern paper. So I've trimmed down a few pieces of pattern paper just to fit in my mini die cutting machine, and I have positioned the die on top of this and I'm running it through. So I'm cutting the Christmas present out of the pattern paper with the holly on it, and also that lovely green pattern with the sort of like a Christmas jumper pattern with the white pattern in it. So I've got to cut this 3 presents to make it quite a nice trio, and I'm using this on a slimline card. Now obviously these dies only cut out the shape of the present, so to add the details I'm using some gold mirror card and I'm just trimming down some very small slithers of card to create the bow. Well, the ribbon that goes around the box. And then for the actual bow on top I'm just using the die again to then run this through with the gold mirror card, and I'm just snipping off the top of the present. So this will create that bow. Now they're all being adhered to the presents using some liquid adhesive, and I'm using liquid adhesive because this will allow me to just wiggle and move the piece of card until I'm happy it's in the right position, that I've got it lined up with the top of the die cut. Also allows me to make sure my ribbon strands are lined up straight, because they are quite thin and delicate. It gives me that wiggle room to ensure that they are. If any of the gold ribbon overhangs the presents, I'm just using my scissors to snip off the excess to trim it down. So I've done this with 3 presents and I'm using them to create a slimline card, so this is perfect for a horizontal slimline card. And the 3 is a great design feature, design idea. To create the sentiment I am creating my own cardstock with the Cranberry Fizz ink from Catherine. So this is one of the new inks she has just released with this for the holidays. It's a beautiful dark rich burgundy, perfect for Christmas. I'm directly swiping the ink pad over the card to create my own cardstock, and then I'm making sure that dries completely before I then stamp and emboss a sentiment from the Jolly Trees stamp set. So this is saying Merry Christmas, and I'm covering it in Wow Metallic Gold Rich Pale Embossing Powder. Now, to adhere the presents onto the slimline card, I'm using some foam pad, just popping them all up, and I'm using my T-ruler just to position them and make sure that they are straight on the card and that they're all aligned with one another. To adhere the sentiment, I'm going to foam mount it onto the card, but I want to turn it into a pennant or a banner, so I'm just trimming a little triangle out of each end of the sentiment and to create that sort of flag end look to the sentiment. Once that's adhered down, I'm then adding some sequins to embellish the card, and this is using the mistletoe sequin mix from Catherine Designs. It's got some lovely greens and reds that are perfect for the holidays, perfect for Christmas cards, and really go well with the colour scheme of the pattern paper and also the 2 new ink colours Catherine has released. So that's the first card completed. For the second card, we are going to use the pattern paper to anchor your stamping onto the card and give it a little bit of a design element. So I'm using the Jolly Tree stamp set and I'm going to be stamping some trees, but I'm also going to be using the coordinating dies to die cut it from. So to ensure my stamping is aligned, I die cut the tree first and then keep that die cut piece because I can use it in my MISTI to place my die cut tree in, and then I know that when I'm aligning my stamps I'm aligning them up correctly within the die. So the first layer of this tree I have stamped in Lime Ricky ink. This is one of the colours in the patterned paper pack as well, so it coordinates really well. Then I'm using the second layer of the stamp, and excuse my head, I just need to get over the position of the stamp to ensure they're lined up, but they're really easy to line up. I'm stamping the second layer in Grass Skirt ink, which again is another green ink used in the pattern paper pack. And for the last layer, I am then stamping this in the new Deck the Halls green ink, which is a beautiful, rich, evergreen, dark green Christmas colour. So it's perfect for these cards. Now, to anchor the stamping to the cards so they're not just floating in midair, these trees, I'm using the pattern paper. Now, what's great is that you can switch up with the pattern paper and your stamping to decide which one looks the best. So I'm just trying a variety of different papers from the pack, and all of them can look really well. Now, I'm anchoring this down by only using half of the pattern paper on half of the card. And I went for this lovely red stripe because it allows the green trees to really pop off. To add dimension to the trees, I did use the coordinating dies to die cut from Fun Foam first, just to add a little bit dimension to the trees. And I've decided to layer them up just to add a little bit more interest and depth and dimension. So for the sentiment, I heat embossed in white onto black card, Joyful Christmas, which comes from that Jolly Trees stamp set. Now, of course, a Christmas tree in England isn't complete without putting a star on it or a fairy. So I'm going to use some stars from the stamp set, and I've just used an acrylic block to stamp these out in Tiara ink, and then use the coordinating dies to die cut them to add them to the top of the trees. And of course, that just really finishes those trees off. Again, I'm using sequins from that mistletoe sequin mix, and this time I'm just using the silver sequins that are in the mix. These don't have a hole in them, they're completely full up sequins, and they just really pop with the style of the card. For the last technique, we are going to use the pattern paper and add it to the background. So we're going to use a lot of the paper within the card. So I've got the holly piece of paper here again, and I'm using a stitched rectangle just to die cut from this, slightly smaller than my card base. And I'm going to add a stamp over the top of this, a stamp and die cut. And I'm using the Caroling Sentiments stamp set again, but this time I'm going to actually stamp the present. So I've die cut the present out of white card and kept the piece of card because I can use it as a template. And I've placed my die cut back inside of that. And for the card, I've first of all inked up just the ribbon in the Deck the Halls. And if I've got any green onto any of the actual sentiment or wording on the stamp set, I'm using a baby wipe to wipe it off. And then once I've done that, I'm then stamping the remainder of the present in the Cranberry Fizz. So that's all the sentiment of the card. To tie in with the present theme again, I'm just using some gold mirror card and I'm trimming a few strips off just to add a cross on top of the pattern paper to make it look like the background is actually a present as well. And this allows you to add and pop up that stamp and die cut present over the middle and just helps draw the eye to that sentiment. So this stamped present was then foam mounted onto the front of the card, and because that pattern paper is very busy and there's the shine from the gold mirror card, I didn't add any sequins to this card because it didn't really need it. It didn't need anything extra, and why complicate a card? So I hope these 3 cards have shown you ways to use pattern paper in a more modern style, if that's your cup of tea. Not everybody likes those traditional Christmas cards, but I hope this inspires you to try different ways of using your patterned paper. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, and why not subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be notified when my next video is up. Until next time, happy crafting!